Why deep tissue bodywork is so important for healing heartbreak. I'm Ben Ufana, completing another article, and even though this one's very brief by my standards, I'll still read directly from it because there are a lot of important details I want to make sure to convey. Let's dive in. When I found myself reenacting the traumas of my childhood and adolescence in my attempts to form intimate relationships, psychotherapy helped me gain a cognitive understanding of my emotional wounding. Yet it wasn't actually facilitating the healing of those wounds. I continued to reenact the same painful relational dynamics. Instinctively, I knew to breathe from the depths of the emotions that arose in response to what was happening. But even that wasn't enough. Determined to do whatever it took to heal, I began exploring any therapeutic intervention that held promise. Of all the therapeutic interventions I've explored, the sessions I've done with gifted healers and the vision quests have been the most powerful. The problem is that at this time in history, there are very few truly gifted healers. The last time I had the opportunity to work with one was when I was spending time in Sri Lanka. The sessions I did with Buddhist monk Thero back in April and again in August of 2007. I haven't found anyone since. Since 1993, I've been returning to the Wichita Mountains in the spring and fall to go on the Vision Quest, a traditional Native American practice that involves fasting without food and water, alone in the mountains for 4 days and nights. I don't do any kind of therapy during the month after I come down from the mountain because I'm still processing what unfolded during the quest. But in the months between the vision quests, there are times when I'm dealing with difficult or stressful people or situations, and I can feel the stress accumulating in my body. And there have been times over the years when I was going through either a breakup or maybe was ghosted or dealing with some other kind of painful relational drama. And even though I do a great deal of intensive meditation practice and qigong, I can at times feel the stresses and unprocessed emotions accumulating in my body. A lot of it shows up in my upper back, neck, and shoulders, and at times it can be quite painful. So when I can, I go for sessions of deep tissue body work. One day I was walking around the Flushing section of Queens, which is largely populated by Chinese, Koreans, and people of other Asian communities. And I wanted to find a legitimate body worker, but I was apprehensive because there's a lot of prostitution around Main Street. Fortunately, I did find a place that turned out to be legitimate. That business eventually closed. I did notice, though, there was a sign on the door directing clients to another establishment. The newer location has a number of practitioners, and I cycled through a handful of them. But after some time, I ended up working with a body worker who's worked out very well for me. Sophia barely speaks any English. A lot of times we have to use Google Translate, or she has some other Chinese origin translation app, but that's how we end up communicating with each other. Yet she's very strong and highly adept at what she does. There were several occasions when I'd been injured during martial arts training, and with Sophia's help, I was able to accelerate the healing of those injuries. I'm not sure how long I've been working with Sophia now, but there was a time over a decade ago when I was ghosted, and it triggered a great deal of grief. I went to see her repeatedly in the weeks and months that followed, and it helped me move through the heartbreak much faster. Not long afterwards, I returned to the Wichita Mountains for the next vision quest. By the time I came down from the mountain, I had largely digested the loss and was moving on. In fact, I found myself feeling grateful that the relationship had ended when it did. Deep tissue bodywork has many benefits, and many of us now are so disconnected from our bodies, yet deep tissue bodywork helps us reconnect and become more grounded in them. While technology has provided us with many benefits, the unfortunate downside is that many of us are more disconnected than ever before. We're more isolated and, in many cases, touch-starved. The lack of physical contact reinforces our disconnection, not only from ourselves, but from other people. Deep tissue bodywork helps compensate for the touch starvation so many of us are experiencing. It also frees up stagnant emotions. While some people feel flooded, overwhelmed, or resist the process, I welcome it. I find it very helpful to have these emotions brought to the surface. When I'm able to access them, I make a concerted effort to be fully present to what is surfacing, immersing my awareness in the depths of what I'm feeling while breathing softly and deeply. By doing this, I can move through grief, frustration, disappointment, and other distressing emotions that arise in response to difficult people or situations or any issues that might be concerning me. This helps me to stay more fluid and adaptive, and it makes it a lot easier for me to cope with whatever I'm facing. People reach out to me from across the United States, Canada, and from around the world. At times, it has genuinely pained me that I wasn't able to be there in person to assist them. In most instances, I don't know of any other gifted healers that I can recommend. Maybe if they lived in the Philippines or Malaysia or Brazil, but for the most part, in most countries around the world, there are very few people practicing at this level. There used to be many gifted healers among the Native Americans, and yet, sadly, these traditions have largely died out. So I often find myself asking, what resources or therapeutic interventions can I suggest that might truly help this person? One of the fortunate things about deep tissue bodywork is that it is widely available. You can find skilled practitioners in every major city, and even in many small towns and rural communities across the country and in other parts of the world. When people reach out to me, I usually ask where they live. If they're in the same geographic location, I will work with them in person. And many who live at a distance elect to work with me over the phone. Yet I also want them working directly with their bodies, which is why I encourage them to do deep tissue body work. Even when I do have the opportunity to work with people in person, I often suggest that they do sessions of deep tissue body work beforehand. Breaking down the muscular body armor and opening the body makes them far more receptive to the individual sessions I facilitate. Deep tissue bodywork offers a number of tangible health benefits. It helps relieve chronic muscular tension, improves circulation, and supports the body's inherent capacity to heal. By working directly in the areas where stress, unprocessed emotional residue, and trauma are held, it can reduce pain, increase mobility, and restore greater cohesion across multiple systems of the body. As tension patterns soften, breathing often deepens, digestion improves, and sleep becomes more restorative. While it is not a cure-all, it can be a powerful support for both physical and emotional well-being. For those dealing with heartbreak and other stressful or challenging life circumstances, sometimes healing begins not by thinking more, but by coming back into the body and allowing what's there to move. Deep tissue bodywork can be a simple, accessible way to support this process.